everybody to the Orion Sports Centre for the NorDan British Handball Super Cup. It's the second game of the day. The first one saw West London Eagles go through rather comfortably against Edinburgh Handball Club, which means West London Eagles will play against the winners of the game that's currently about to go on your screen. Olympia versus the Newcastle Vikings. Olympia, the victors and the champions of the English League against Newcastle Vikings, who came runner-up in the Scottish League. Yes, that's right, Newcastle are part of the Scottish division. The reason being is, well, one, they're so close to Scotland, and two, because there isn't that much handball going on anywhere around Newcastle apart from Newcastle themselves. So it's actually closer to travel up to Scotland than it would be to go down to Manchester or Nottingham or anywhere else like that. So yeah, that is the reason why Newcastle are representing Scotland today. As the teams get read out, I will read them out myself as well. You might be able to hear them in the background. But for the Olympia team, number 1, Sabrina Farhang. Number 4, Malvina Speck. Number 8, Elodie Trouillard. Number 9, Greta Mark-Venaite. I will just say Greta, I have passed it with her during the game, and quite a lot of these names I may well go with the first name during the game. Number 10, Tamara Armuch. Number 13, Anastasia Petrovska. Number 17, Vivia Lengale. Number 19, Karina Vesteng. Number 20, Alexandra Ginter. Number 28, Bianca Morutan. Number 29, Bella Hughes. Number 87, Denisa Lamont. Number 88, Natalia Zak. Number 95, Joanna Markova. Their coaches are Aurelia Gu and also Sarah Autumnish. For Newcastle, number 1, Andrea King. Number 2, Maria Brevet. Number 3, Marlon Slinning-Gulti. Number 5, Mathilde Bergstadt. Number 6, Maria Gonzalez Pascal. Number 7, Josie Meyerlands. She is one of the other players that's given me permission to use her first name. Number 8, Juliana Souza. Number 9, Rosa Search. Number 10, Alexandra Inter. Number 11, Olivia Shimkalviak. Number 13, Alina Inter. And number 14, Sandra Christlam. So, as I said, Newcastle in a slightly unusual position where they're representing Scotland, but with second in the Scottish League, they fully deserve their position here in the NorDan British Handball Super Cup. Exactly what is the British Handball Super Cup before we get going? It's a national event. It's the pinnacle of handball in the UK, effectively. Last season it was also hosted by Scotland Handball. I believe next season will also be hosted by Scotland Handball. And it effectively, as I've already stated, it's the top 2 from Scotland versus the top 2 in England. Later on we had the men's games. It's starting at 2 o'clock and then at 4 o'clock respectively. We've got Livingston versus Olympia. And then we've got the North East Manchester Hawks versus EK82. EK82 with a surprise victory apparently in the Scottish Cup against Livingston, but they came second in the league, so that's going to be very, very tight. Apparently EK, their tactic is to basically run the team off the court early on in the game. And if that sounds familiar for anybody out there who's watched the English game last season, or in recent years, it's exactly the same tactic that North East Manchester Hawks have, so 4 o'clock should be fairly exciting. But for now, we are focusing on Olympia versus Newcastle Vikings, and it is Olympia who get us underway. Remember, the winner of this game will go against West London Eagles at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. This is the semi-finals of the Super Cup on Saturday. The finals will all be for tomorrow to crown the champions of Britain. So Olympia already pulling out the flare, and that left wing right arm whip that I saw so often last week. The number 13 of Olympia, Anastasia Petrovska. If anybody was watching the semi-finals of the National Cup that we were covering last week with Live Sport Now down in Oldham, will know exactly how deadly Petrovska's right hand can be, and it's that whip with the almost looks like the arm is made of rubber. Certainly puts fear into the opposition. Thought there was a hit of the leg there by the number 11 of Newcastle. The referees didn't agree. There is going to be trouble though. And there is the number 2, Maria Brevet, playing right wing, defending at the right back position by the looks of it. I have to say, if we had bookies here, you would probably put Olympia as the favourites, having won not only the English League, the English Final Four, but also in the finals of the National Cup as well, against West London Eagles actually. So we could end up seeing a bit of a final before the final. And Le Mans weaves away, sorry, that's Malvina Speck actually, the ball weaves away through the centre of the Newcastle defence to make it a 2-0 lead. So as Newcastle try and put their own mark on this game, that's not the way to do it. Number 10 fumbling the ball, and it's a big pass over to the 87. There might be 4 steps in there, but they won't care because the goal's given to Denisa Le Mans. Denisa Le Mans even. Added a debt in there for some reason. So not the start that Newcastle were hoping for. Maybe they were potentially not expecting an upset, but they're here to enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend actually as well, because of course the loser of this game still has a game to play. It'll be kicking off, throwing off tomorrow at 10 AM, and that will be against Edinburgh. For the third place playoff. Long distance shot there by the number 10, Alexandra Inter. Not quite on target. Looked like a bit of a threat though. Had a decent shot and a decent arm. I used to was involved with the Leeds Beckett team, Leeds Beckett University team. We often went up to Newcastle quite a lot to play against them, the women's and the men's. So I have a relatively close connection to Newcastle. But that was about 5 years ago, and I have to say, since then they've gone very multinational. Their squad's got a lot bigger, potentially due to the fact they're obviously playing a lot more games. Maybe that's a bit more of an appealing thing for their players. For people wanting to play handball, a bit more regular, a bit higher level as well. They certainly look like, although they haven't really gotten going in this game just yet, they certainly look like a lot different outfit than they used to. Shows the progress in the North East, which is always nice, and shows that potentially playing in the Scottish League was the right decision for them. There is some half-decent moves going on, but just no real quality and penetration. Here's Le Mans again. And just like that, we haven't even played 4 minutes, and we've got 4 goals. I believe it's been Le Mans with 2, Speck with 1, and I'll be honest, I've lost where the 4th one's gone. But Newcastle need to start thinking of something, and thinking of it quick as well, because it's just little errors like that, although they find a good pass to the line, but there we go. Not only do they have to get to the defence of Olympia, they also have to get through Sabrina Farhan, who in her own way is a bit of an unstoppable force. I'm actually we had a fantastic game against Edinburgh versus West London Eagles, and part of the sort of spectacle of it was Veglars's input from goal in Edinburgh, and I said at the time that I wished I had marked how many saves that she made. Well, I'm going to start marking how many saves the goalkeeper makes as well, actually. So Sabrina Farhan is on 1 at the moment. There is Andrea King, been involved with the Newcastle Vikings for quite some time. In goal there. Don't quote me on it, Andrea, but I believe she plays football as well. Certainly used to, I think. And charging foul there by Inter. She ran into the player, unfortunately, as Le Mans goes at the other end and gets the goal. And that's a hat-trick now for Le Mans, to the best of my counting, which is juvenile at best, but oh well. We'll give it a go. 5.5 minutes. 5-0 the score. And, well, Newcastle have to be slightly careful that this doesn't become a bit of a whitewash. Or a cricket score. Oh, and I've just been given some pastries as well. Thank you very much to the QTV team. The service, I have to say, has been absolutely sensational from Scotland Handball since I've turned up. Normally do motorsport commentary, but we're going to try and work with these guys more often, honestly. So, at 10 and 11. the two half-backs, who do look threatening. They look like they've got something about them. That's another save by Farhan. The Newcastle half-backs look like they've got something about them. It's just getting them into the right positions against what is an extremely strong Olympia team. They have travelled in force. Obviously, it's a long way to go. I believe some of these players, some of the students, I think, decided to do an overnight bus rather than come last night. They sort of travelled overnight, and it took them, 5 hours on a bus. Not sure if they got here or they had a hotel or anything to get to, or they've had any kind of sleep. Doesn't seem to have affected the team in any way, shape or form, though. Blocked there by Lamont, and they're going to try for the fast break yet again, and Newcastle don't look like they're, well, that seemed to be a bit overforced. And as a consequence, it's a good save by Andrea King. And since I'm marking the saves next to the goals on my sheet at the moment, that's Newcastle's only what looks like a goal. It's a save, of course. Yeah, it just looked like, I thought Lamont was just clean through there, had an opportunity for a shot from the right back position, and forced it to their left wing, and, sometimes just score the goal. Again, turned over by Olympia. Newcastle, I think it's a baptism of fire for them in this game. I had heard rumours that, and no offence at all intended, to the quality and the strength of handball up this side of the border, but I had heard that potentially some of the London teams would be the favourites coming into this one. It so happened that obviously a little bit earlier on that came to pass with Eagles versus Edinburgh, and it looks like it may well be the case here as well. Early stages. Maria Brevet comes on. Number 3 from the centre. Sorry, no, it's not Maria Brevet. I thought I got that wrong. It's Marlon Slinging Gulti. I think there was a fumble there by Alina Inter, I believe, but not confirmed, related to Alexandra Inter, who I mentioned already. Here goes Olympia, nice step by Speck. Good goal there, into the bottom into the bottom left-hand corner. That right back position, always quite difficult to score from that area if you're a right-handed player. Arwina Speck proving that there's no problem for her. Newcastle haven't really given me much information about their club or anything like that, apart from the fact that they rejoined the Scottish Handball League this year, first time since 2013-14, so it's not a new tactic that they've deployed to go into the Scottish League. And the only other piece of information is that they finished second, which I'll be honest, I could have guessed given the fact that they're here. As they try and force the pass to the line, they still haven't broken through. But what is becoming, oh, there is Andrea King. Andrea King even. A bit of a, well, I wouldn't say dangerous, she didn't do anything wrong there particularly, but if you touch the player, if a goalkeeper runs out like that and you get any part of the player, even if you get the ball as well, I believe it's a straight red card, or it certainly used to be anyway, that's how we used to referee it. I could be wrong, these referees are a lot better than I am. It's Gianna Stella Marisi and Andrea Alejandra Pepe, the two referees for this game. Unfortunately, I don't have the names of the delegates at the table officials, so I can't give you them. In fact, you and CEO of Scottish Handball has actually just come in to give me write me a quick note. I thought you were going to join me on the commentary box there, you. I think he's right, the delegate's name. Yeah, so he's just told me that Colin Willis is the delegate for today's game. He's an EHF delegate as well, of course. Having a chat with him and a beverage with him last night. As a good goal goes in by the number 20 from Olympia, Alexandra Ginter. Their first goal of the game. Colin, actually the delegate who's been involved with handball, he's been a delegate for something like 21 years or something, and a lot of people up here consider him not to have quite, oh, good step, but it's not happening. It's just needed an extra little burst through the gap there from Inter. It just didn't quite have it. Trying to get a roll there by the other Inter on the left, the right half and the left half. This is going to be slightly confusing. I might end up just calling them, one of them Alexandra and one of them Elena. Elena is the number 13 who's playing right back currently, has the ball. Marlon tries to get it. Bit of a blind pass though. Gets it finally out to the right winger, but the number 2, Maria Brevic, couldn't open the scoring for the Vikings. Shot might not be quite striking just yet, but it's a striking haircut, that's for sure. I love the colour and I love that kind of goal as well by Petrovska, who I believe actually is the missing piece in my puzzle. They got the first goal of the game, of course. And I believe we're just trying to try and get set up and see whether we can get Ewan on the commentary as well. Just signalled over to the QVT team and we'll hopefully get him set up and have a chat and see what's happening in the world of Scottish handball and of course this event as well. In fact, he's just getting a phone call though from his from Julia. So oh, is he gonna? He's hung up. Well, enough. I feel very honoured, Ewan, as Petrovska gets another goal. It's been a bit of a one-sided game so far, hasn't it? The Vikings haven't necessarily been able to get a hold of this one. Yes, of course, which is quite impressive considering it's the first time, the only information they've given me on my commentary brief is the first time they've been involved with the Scottish League again since 2013-14. So to finish second is a good achievement in itself. They've been out of the game in terms of leagues for a little while. Yeah, that's exactly right. Absolutely, and you can actually see some of the quality, and you can see that some of these girls are natural handballers as well. I mean, the two halfbacks as well. You can see if they get an opportunity, their shot is on point. You know, they just need to get through what is one of the toughest defences in Britain. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you can see how well drilled they are, as you say, incredibly tough. And I think what we're seeing today is the Vikings are really finding it very tough to get themselves in that position. That really is on point but as you can see, it's looking a lot exploring every time they go up the court. But I think got to take the positives, I suppose. Absolutely, absolutely, Jack. But yeah, we're, as I say, we're delighted to have them, and they're representing the Scottish Women's League really, really well, and they've been a great addition. So, with luck, they'll maybe find themselves inspired to continue to come back. But like all
small amateur clubs, these are kind of tough decisions. Anyway, it's good.
It is good, and I will let you get that phone call because I think Julia's been trying to ring him about 7 times since he's been chatting to him. Oh, we could get the first goal, and we do get the first goal for Newcastle. It was a great goal as well by Brevitt, Maria Brevitt.
Brevitt's she's a really good player. She's again, you saw a little glimpse of it there. We've seen that all season from her, that ability to cut in from wing and really cut through. So she's a very good attacker. Scored a lot of good goals this season, and yeah, delighted for them to get off the ground. And here we go again.
We could see goal number 2 for Newcastle Vikings, but even when you get through, you have to beat Sabrina Farhan, and that's a 3rd crucial save of the day. And you know what? This is handball. You save one end, you go at the other, you score, and there's Petrovska yet again. So yeah, all in all, signs are there that Newcastle can make some waves in this, even if they're not necessarily going to win. But it's great to see that they've got the enthusiasm. They keep going at it.
Correct, and again, I think this is what we've seen. We saw at Newcastle play final women's league match of this, or one of the most the decisive game in the women's league in Scotland. And many people were expecting Edinburgh to really kind of walk all over the Newcastle defence, but they turned up with this similar resilience, great attitude, scored a lot of good goals, and although Edinburgh ran out reasonably comfortably in the end, Newcastle made a really good game of it. And actually, in many respects, that was the wonderful nature of Handball in the sport that we're watching in Livingston. That brilliant attitude. Never giving up, and it really does. Look, this is a team who are still going, absolutely full tilt. We're only halfway through the first half, and we also know that in handball you can come from quite a long way behind, and if Newcastle was to score 2 or 3 and get the tails up again, then who knows? But little mistakes like that happen, of course. But again, as you said, Jack. Defensive quality of Olympia, sure.
I was going to say, I think we won, as you mentioned a few times, you have to give credit to Olympia, but I think Vikings, the flow of their play is starting to get a little bit better. They're making less unforced errors, and so rather than just not getting the shots at all, they are just starting to miss the shots. It means at least they're getting there, or Sabrina Farhan has pulled off some magical saves, so yeah, at least they are there. Just to touch a quick word on your other representation, obviously Edinburgh in that first game. Obviously Eagles came out on top with that first half. Edinburgh put on a hell of a show, especially their goalkeeper, which in my opinion was the player with the match, especially in that first half. Veglars, doing you proud there.
Absolutely. Again, viewers and observers and participants in Scotland will be very familiar with the women's team and the quality that they have. I thought they showed. That's a great goal. Who is herself Norwegian, I think.
She is indeed, yes. And good memory.
Yeah, she's a very, very talented young player. From memory, I think she's about 16, so she's really young.
Yeah, 2005, yeah, so again, damn good memory.
Thank you, Jack. So, yeah, I think I'll go back to the games. Edinburgh were fantastic in that first half. I think West London did exactly the right thing, changing the defensive structure for the second half. I think it was unfortunate. Edinburgh didn't seem to quite respond in a similar sort of tactical sense to that defensive change. So I think it was a great game. But at the same time, I thought Edinburgh were fantastic. And it will be yet another learning experience and growing experience, hopefully for next year. the team continues to grow.
I was going to say I'm excited to see how they carry on really, and obviously bridging that gap between the strength of the London teams versus the strength of say Edinburgh and Newcastle here, and obviously there are a whole host of other teams that are involved with the league. You know, how do you close that gap? I suppose that's the challenge for not only them but the organisation as well, and that's something I'm guessing you're working towards by hosting competitions like this, because you don't get better unless you play the opposition more regularly.
Exactly. Hosting obviously the Super Cup last year, this year, and next year for sure. We are working as an association very hard in schools, colleges, universities. In Scotland. And our focus really is significantly on how we continue to grow and develop the young players in the game. We had our Scottish Cup Finals day last Saturday. It was incredibly well attended. We ran sort of mini tournament, if you like, for the younger team players and the younger squads, which again went down really well. So with that display last Saturday of kids from 9 or 10 years old through right to the seniors is anything to go by, then I'm going to say the future of Scottish handball is looking incredibly bright, because we have some very talented players.
I said pressure.
Again, brilliant attitudes.
Natalia, open up, wing to wing. Let's go. Everybody look for opportunity. Let's go.
So it's,
Start.
you know,
Start from below.
that, I think, in terms of bridging
Let's
the
go.
gap, while our focus is on youth development,
Natalia, go.
Love party.
yeah,
Great competition.
yeah, of course, world famous, the best competition in the world. So we've sent to Scottish national sides, and Trist, one of our teams, are sending a team as well. So there's 3 teams going from Scotland, and again, it's you know, tournaments and environments like that, and for us that is important, because the players who are going across are all in the kind of under 15 category, and that should be a phenomenal experience for them, as well as a great development.
I was going to say, just from a memories point of view, honestly, I want to go to party quite a lot myself, and it's just the best 2 weeks, or week or 2 weeks if you can eke it out and everything like that. So as a personal development, obviously there's a lot of independence and stories you can tell and everything, so the players learn an awful lot, not just handball based, but about growing up and stuff like that, which is absolutely amazing. No, looking forward to that. And just to touch on your the men's, the representatives from Scotland there, because I know a lot more about the English, so while you're here I might as well try and get as much information about the Scottish out of you as possible. I've seen the delegates list and the team sheets on that, and that is predominantly Scottish youth players as well. There's EK and Livingston. There's an awful lot of international representation for GB in Scotland in there, isn't there, from homegrown players?
Yeah, there is. But again, this goes back to the approach that we took in the Scottish years ago to start focusing on that. It's really been evident. Talk to both of which almost exclusively young Scottish players.
Yeah. Those age groups rather than the senior levels.
Because the senior levels, well, both. You know, the senior levels are still young, and a lot of development we've started to do and to make. but nonetheless, there is, there's got to be, the bench strength, if you like, and the young players coming through. So that's what we hope. Again, competitions like Super Cup can inspire many young people to not only start their journey, but continue their journey, and to see themselves on this court, playing in competitions like this.
Yeah, it was a great step there, wasn't it? And Newcastle, they looked like they were rushing out. They were trying to intercept the pass and just left the space wide open. It was a good step from the left wing. I didn't actually get the number there, but yeah, I mean it's quite interesting. You were speaking about the sort of that finals day and everything, the 8, 9, 10-year-olds and everything like that. I was listening to a podcast on my way up here from Leeds, and it was about how to develop the game in other countries that not necessarily dominate, like Germany and Denmark and all the Scandinavians, they all dominate it. And one of them said that whenever they have these sort of try days where they try and get kids involved in sport 9 or 10 years old and everything like that, handball sort of turns up and they can give it a go, and all the kids nearly always say, no, we're biased, that it's their favourite sport, and yet it's like, well, where else do you go to play it more often, sort of thing, and that's sort of the challenge, I suppose, for EHA and SHA.
Correct, absolutely, and it's a challenge that we've taken on very, very seriously, and it's important at this point to give a shout out to our supporters in Sport Scotland, and other commercial sponsors like NorDan today who are sponsoring the Super Cup, CBS and other organisations who have been hugely supportive. Because without that kind of investment and support, from both public sector and private sector, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing. But you're absolutely right, Jack. We turn up and handball is really popular, hugely popular. Yeah. So we are working really hard to try to build precisely the bridges that you're describing there between those 9, 10-year-olds who experience this amazing game. Because of course at primary school it's boys and girls together.
It is. Mini handball.
Mini handball, it's all mixed. And handball, I've said for a long time, is inherently one of the most equal sports possible.
Yeah.
You can be any size, fitness level, shape, whatever. You can play handball.
Absolutely.
And
Farhan. No, it wasn't Farhan, was it? It's the other goalkeeper who I'm not entirely sure because the number on, which is really helpful. He clearly. Yeah. So that's what we're doing to try and bridge that gap, is to make sure that kids who experience that mini handball get the opportunity. Yes, it's been lovely to chat to you.
Thank you, Jack. Anytime, it's been great to join you, and look forward to doing so if the opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely, yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, Ewan. Thank you very much. Julie was trying to bring you in every single app possible now, so I'll let you get on with your day job, but it's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
So that was Ewan, for CEO of Scottish Handball. Always nice to have a chat, and I know we haven't, I wouldn't say we've neglected the game in front of us, but haven't necessarily been that much to shout about over the course of the last sort of 15 minutes or so. I think there's only been approximately 4 or 5 goals. A couple of great saves though by Sabrina Farhan, and I believe that was Joanna Markova who was in goal for the penalty save. The reason why I say that is because I think Joanna went in goal in the semi-final game that we live streamed last week for Olympia versus Northampton, I want to say it was. So yeah, that's just it's the only reason why I think it was Joanna instead of anybody else. It was, I have to say though, to get the penalty, it was a good attacking intent by the Newcastle. It was number 11, which is, I'm just going to stick with Olivia Shimkoviak, or Shimkoviak. Here is the number 11 yet again, with a nice little cross with Marlon Goulty. Didn't get the goal. But again, they're starting to show that rather than the first 10 minutes where they couldn't literally get a shot away, they're starting to at least get the shots away, which is a positive at least. And although they may not turn over a 14-2 deficit, they can show a little bit of pride out there. And they're starting to defend a little bit better as well, it has to be said. I think they were bordering on 11-1 or something like that about halfway through this half, and Olympia have been sort of not suffocated out of it, but they've been not struggling either. They just haven't scored that many goals. And actually, I'd almost border on saying they have struggled to be quite as fluent as they were in attack earlier on. And a lot of attacks were fast breaks, which they seem to have just about managed to pull off this time as well. I was about to say Newcastle just about managed to get rid of that threat, but in fact it was a great pass and a good take, and although nearly lost her footing, Natalia Zak, who has scored 2 goals so far, both for the penalty spot, managed to secure the fast break as well. So 1 minute remaining, 15-2 currently to Olympia. Aurelien Goug was probably quite happy sitting on the bench right. Well, he's not sitting, he's standing. He's a very, very passionate coach normally. If he doesn't like what his team is doing, he will definitely let them know. But at the moment, I can't see much to complain about. And that is one hell of a goal. You can't complain about that. You just have to stand back and admire it. Sandra Castillo-Lamb. Fantastic there, the Newcastle. Just playing right back at the moment. And yeah, great goal by Sandra.
Up to passive in the gap.
20 odd seconds to go then. Ball gets moved. Foul there. Olympia have 10 more seconds to see if they can pull out another goal. Not really needed, but they also don't want to throw the ball away. That's exactly what they end up doing. And Newcastle will only have a couple of seconds. Andrea looks for the shot, but actually it's going to get the half-time buzzer. So it's 15-3 currently to Olympia. Marlon there in shot, just trying to get off the court, cheer the players up a little bit, and to be fair, they've had opportunities. Sabrina Farhan has so far saved 4 of the, most of the time would be pretty much guaranteed goals, I'm sure, but when you come up against a goalkeeper of that quality, you have to pull out something extra special pretty much all the time. And Joanna Markova as well, as I said, I'm pretty sure was the player who ended up saving the penalty. That was Petrovska. She ended up getting 4 by my calculations. That whip of her right arm. Lamont on the fast breaks as well. Defending from that right back position, breaking up the court. Another one for her here. Andrea King giving a, well, it's a tough job. Lamont, I think the last 3 highlights have been all of her fast breaks. Speck managed to wiggle through, giving a step there. Moving the ball out to the right wing, and another good goal. So, a brilliant chat with Ewan. A great half of handball. Olympia putting on a show. Newcastle Vikings showing some enthusiasm. Some decent goals of their own. In fact, is this one coming in here? Yes, it is. Revett with a nice little spin on the right wing. Sticking it into the top corner. I didn't stop the Olympia fast breaks though. But a great pass to the line. Another good goal. To be fair, they've got that a couple of times actually. A couple of good saves. That unfortunately wasn't one of them from the penalty spot. At the moment, it looks like it's going to be an all-London affair as we go into the final tomorrow, which of course throws off at 2 o'clock. At the moment, Newcastle Vikings look like they're going to be the ones to play Edinburgh at the 10 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. And if you're wondering, we've got a couple of more games on the way for you tonight. It's Livingston versus Olympia in the men's semi-final. That's at 2 o'clock. And then we'll have the North East Manchester Hawks versus EK82 in the final game of today. That's at 4 o'clock. That's all the highlights and a lovely chat with you. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes for more action. Olympia 15, Newcastle Vikings 3.
We have a challenge, the greatest challenge in the history of humanity. There's a world to save. Each and every one of us must rethink, reprogram ourselves, and change the way that we usually do things. The construction industry makes up around 40% of our total CO2 emissions. The king of wasteful thinking, really. Drastic change is required to reduce our new build carbon footprint from the current 1,000 kilograms of CO2 per square meter down to 300 kilograms, which is the 2030 target. That's steep, but not impossible. And above all, necessary. And it has to be a team effort, where every detail counts when building a new construction standard. At NorDan, we try to lead by example. We've done it for nearly 100 years now. We try to do our part by improving ourselves through our products. More than 90% of an ordinary NorDan window frame is made from timber, which is a natural carbon sink. It keeps the embodied carbon figures among the lowest in the industry, with CO2 emissions from NorDan less than half of aluminium or UPVC windows. Compared to other composite materials in the market, there is no comparison. With U values as low as 0.7 and unbeaten durability, even in harsh coastal environments, it gives any house the homeliness it deserves for generations to come, which comes in handy when facing the fact that the UK needs to build 350,000 new homes each year to meet the demand. So why is timber an excellent building material? For one thing, it's carbon negative. It absorbs and stores more carbon than it emits during its growth time. From a full-grown tree, we can extract material for building 30 windows. When a NorDan window is installed in a home, it will stay there for at least 60 years, keeping the home well insulated and energy efficient. You see, we like to commit ourselves long-term. It's the only way if there's going to be a long-term at all. At NorDan, we are ready to do what it takes to reverse the climate change. Please join us. There's a window of opportunity. And that is now.
ladies and gentlemen, and well, it's Olympia versus Newcastle, and if you're tuning in, I'm afraid it's not exactly a close game for the time being, as Newcastle get us back underway. The score is 15-3 to Olympia. 30 minutes of handball left to play, of course. It was an absolute barnstorming start to the game for Olympia. Vikings definitely looked like they were taken aback by the quality, the intensity, the desire, the passion from Olympia, the defence really more than anything. They started to get back into it with some half-decent play, and they got some half-decent opportunities as well, but Sabrina Farhan was stood in the way for the majority of them so far, making 4 saves that I sort of noted as worthy of being marked down as if they were a goal, which obviously would mean that the Vikings would have scored roughly 7, still about half of what Olympia have managed, but still it would have been a better scoreline from their perspective, as number 9 for Olympia gets the fast break but doesn't score it. It's Greta. And I have been given permission by Greta to potentially only say her name, but it's Mork Venite. Hence, you can probably understand why I'm just saying Greta. Little spin there from the centre of the court, and it's going to be a penalty actually. Number 13 not very strong in keeping her position, Alina Inter. Sorry, no, that's the number 13 for Newcastle. I'm looking for the 13, Petrovska, who at the moment has scored 4 goals. Just giving away a penalty now. The last penalty was saved, and it is number 95 of Joanna Markova, who came in last time in goal, saved the penalty. What can she do this time? Against Alexandra Inter, who scores! Took them about 12 minutes to get their first goal in the first half. It's only taken them about 93 seconds to get their goal, first goal in the second half. 15-4 for Vikings. I remember quite often when I was a coach, especially, and we used to be on the receiving end of some of these score lines, which would happen every so often, unfortunately. You would sort of think, you know what, okay, maybe the game's gone, but you want to get out there and you want to be able to score the best goal and make some cracking saves as well. And Andrea King, that's her 3rd save, I'd say, of note of the game as well. They try and break up the court. Olympia get a great recovery. Lamont with a great catch and a good lob as well. Lisa Lamont, I believe it's her 4th goal. May well be the 5th. I'm trying to do a little tally on the goals, and they may well have blended. Maybe looking at 2 and only thinking it's 1. They just hit the referee there, which is an interesting way to pass the ball, and that's also an interesting way, a bit telegraphed. Didn't bring the defender in at all, and the second line player wasn't really in a position to receive it, unfortunately, all round. That was a cheap way of giving possession away. If you are up towards Edinburgh or near the Orient Sports Centre, anything like that, and you're watching the games today and you're thinking, you know what, I bet it would be a pretty cool place to go for Sunday. Well, of course, you can watch it on the Scottish Handball Facebook and YouTube page. But if you want to get involved, you want to get down, create some atmosphere, buy some merch, all that sort of thing, then the tickets are still on sale. I believe they're not expensive. I'll have a quick look at what the ticketing options are. There's also VIP available, which is you get sort of tea and coffee in the morning and pastries. Andrea King. There's not many things that could make me stop talking about pastries, but a save like that is one of them. But yeah, there are plenty of little options if you want to get up here, spend the day, give your support for your favourite teams as well. I've just found the ticketing options in my notes. Full weekend general admission, so if you want to come down there for the rest of today, and obviously the admission for tomorrow, between £11 and £15. If you just want to gain entry tomorrow, then it's £6.50 to £8.50. I'm not entirely sure what the variations are, because I'd have thought it'd just be one price, but here we are. If you want to get some hospitality, watch all 4 games tomorrow, and then you can watch the Sunday VIP hospitality package for £26.99, and that, as I said, gives you access to a viewing area. It gives you access to queue jumping, and pastries, tea, coffee, everything else that you might expect from a VIP area, or maybe even some chats to the coaches or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's if you want to get down here and watch, there's plenty of different ways. Oh, he almost got a whip into the top corner there, a little bit of a treat, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. There's also plenty of merch on sale, and I realise this is becoming a little bit of a sales pitch, but well, blame the teams because neither of them are scoring at the moment. There is merch for sale, British Handball Super Cup merch, Scottish Handball merch, all by the front entrance where you buy the tickets. Can buy them online as well. Oh, great bit of pace, great explosion there by Le Mans. And I think those are coming together for both players. Saying a bit of sorry, getting up, shaking hands. The goal by Le Mans. That leads off my tally, I believe. So 5.5 minutes in, the score 17-4. Means Newcastle have managed to score one of their goals. Olympia have scored 2 in this half. If you want to keep score that way, it's 2-1 in the second half. Makes it sound a little bit better from a Newcastle perspective. If you're a Newcastle fan, it looks like they may well have just got another penalty as well. So Sabrina Farhan runs off the pitch. Or runs off the court, I should say, actually. Is once again replaced by Joanna Markova. Who's going to step up to take the penalty? It's the number 10 yet again of Alexandra Inter. Calms herself down, waits for the whistle. The whistle has been blown, she just looks over to check. No fake, but a goal. I'd rather have a goal than a fake. So Inter with her second of the day. Second half, it's 2-2 in the second half. It's a good showing at the moment by Vikings. I think in the first half, the beginning of that one, it was the score was about 5-0 at this point. In fact, no, it's 7 at this point. Definitely a better showing. Le Mans on fire though, she's not going to be beaten. Even if the rest of the Olympia team are maybe taking their foot off the pedal a little bit, Le Mans certainly hasn't. Just a reminder, if anybody did just tune in for the second half as well, Edinburgh versus West London Eagles was the game on before this. Edinburgh coming out second in that game, is the polite way of putting it. West London Eagles have moved on to the final, which they'll be played at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and that'll be played against the victors of this one. At the moment looks like Olympia, but you never know, the comeback could be on. Edinburgh will be playing at 10 o'clock in the morning against, looks like, Newcastle Vikings. But you never know, that could be commentator's curse, as a shot does get missed. Was that a save by King? It's a bit far for we to check, actually, that one, so it's definitely a missed shot, that's for sure. Marlon Gulti comes back onto the court at the centre position. Number 10, Alexandra Inter, who's scoring those penalties at left back. Number 11, Greta, is at right back. It looks like a second line's got in. Offers a little bit of space in the centre of the court. Well, not necessarily space, but certainly moves them back towards the 6 metre line. But they don't take the 9 metre shot. They don't take the jump shot over the players. They're still trying to work their way through, which is a little bit harder work. There's a 2-minute suspension given out there. I was looking at my notes at that time. We didn't follow the player off either, so I'm not 100% sure who it was. But Olympia are a player down, which, I mean, from a Newcastle Vikings perspective, 3-2 in the second half, and I was about to say they could try and take advantage here, but they're not going to. They're going to turn the ball over. And up the other end of the court, Olympia make no mistake. Number 13 is once again haunting them, Anastasia Petrovska, 5th of the match. So that's not the way that Newcastle wanted this 2-minute power play to be going. And they've actually, looks like they've moved Marie Brevet, who was the scorer of their first goal of the game, to right back, actually, which is an interesting move. And I suppose maybe it's to try and unleash a shot there by Sandra Christ-Lam. They did unleash a shot by Sandra, but it wasn't a particularly brilliant one. So Olympia now waiting to get their full complement of players. Looks like they're deciding that they don't need a right winger. They're playing a 4-1 attack, so they're keeping the pivot in play. And then going for 2 wide wingers and 2 wide halfbacks, ignoring the centre effectively. And it works for them, because they managed to break their way through the number 9. For Olympia, that is Greta. Oh, sorry, I think I said Greta was the number 11 for Newcastle, which is completely false, because that's Olivia. A little bit of a bang there. I think Marlin's just making sure that that Petrovska is okay. Centre of that defence. That's the thing about handball. It's a very physical game. You could end up hitting 7 bells out of each other. Very, very physical. But at the end of it, there's still a lot of care and compassion. And you know, obviously we don't want to see any injuries. No one wants to see anything like that. And it's not even really like boxing or anything. There's where for 60 minutes, or football, 60 minutes, you're trying to hurt each other almost. In handball, you are legitimately just trying to stop the play. And even during the game, there's that high level of respect. I'm liking it more to rugby than anything else. I think I said that before when trying to describe the defence and how you actually defend in handball and how you tackle and how the attacking team keeps the ball if they get tackled. It's a bit like rugby league.
Is that a pass?
Realise I haven't also given a bit of a brief rundown of exactly what handball is. If you're watching this and thinking, what on earth is going on? What sport am I watching here? Well, you're live on the Scottish Handball page, so that will probably give you a bit of an indication. It is a 60-minute game, 2 30-minute halves, 7 versus 7. Normally 1 goalkeeper, 6 out-court players. Normally about 8 players on the bench as well, if you're lucky. Doesn't always happen in British handball. Don't always get full benches. But when it comes to big tournaments like the British Super Cup, National Cup finals, etc., you do tend to find that everybody wants to turn up and play all of a sudden. And there's the coach for Olympia, Aurélien Gou. A foul there. And as I said, you know, this is how you defend in handball. You end up getting tackled, you actually keep the ball. A bit like in rugby league, you take the tackle, you get up, you roll the ball behind you, the defender has to be a metre away. Pretty much the same here in handball, they have to be 3 metres away. The important thing is you may not necessarily get the ball back, but you stop the other team from scoring, you stop the other team from having a good opportunity. Just like that, you force them into errors where you can sort of convert the ball back over. Oh, that's not ideal, but Josie gets away with it. So it looks like Newcastle starting to turn the bench over a little bit as well, trying to get some other players some court time. Of course, this isn't the end, even if they lose, this isn't the end of their weekend. They were very excited to be here. And you can see that the team, like Ewan was saying before, I don't know if you guys can hear Ewan, unfortunately, we may have had some, may have been a touch quiet, but he was saying about how Newcastle and Edinburgh and all the Scottish teams obviously doing them really proud, and there is some talent in the Newcastle team that just come up against a very, very strong Olympia team who are well drilled, play at a high level pretty much all year round. And maybe Newcastle just got a little bit smothered at the start. But there is, especially at the halfback positions, you can tell that once they get into a shooting position, they have good opportunities. They tried the Kemper there. It didn't come off, and maybe a little bit early to be trying that showboaty sort of things. Travel for Newcastle as they go at the other end, and Olympia can break once more. There's an opportunity at the left back. Speck couldn't catch the ball though. And to be fair, I think she had Brevitz in front of her anyway, so it would have been a difficult one having caught the ball. Brevitz was a little bit shaken actually, I think, having been jumped over for the Kemper.
Sandra, there.
So 20-5 is the score at the moment. Newcastle having shown some promise, moving the ball quite well, having to move the defenders around, but they get to the crucial point. The crucial moment, the pass was good, the shot wasn't. Lamont looks for the line pass herself, and that's the difference. A good goal once they get the ball into the line. Westeng doing what her counterparts for on Newcastle's team couldn't do. The number 14, I believe that was, of Sandra Chris Blamb. Start to move the ball again. They are moving the Olympia defensive end. Olympia are having to work a little bit harder in this half, which is nice to see in a way. And probably Olympia would rather that as well if they're trying to prepare for a game against West London Eagles, who they know is a very tight, difficult team to play against. Andrea King launches the ball forward. There is a fast break on here. The ball is dropped though. And Josie couldn't quite get the shot away. It's a shame that one, because King had spotted it. Had pinged the ball nicely. But yeah, it wasn't to be. Halfway through the second half now. Newcastle, having spent a couple of years trying to establish themselves in the English League, hasn't been involved with the Scottish League for a long time, since 2013-14 this year. Well, stop my fact-finding mission as we have a look and see if King is okay. No malicious intent there at all, I don't believe, from the Olympia player. I think she was twisting and almost fouled herself, really, in the act of shooting. She gets past, she was all twisted and ends up hitting King in the face/throat. And obviously, that's an instant break in play. You'd want to make sure that the goalkeeper, you can see actually, I think, a mark on her neck, nasty, but luckily, well, thankfully even, she's up, ready to play again. As obviously there are rules coming into play at all times for all sports about head injuries and stuff like that. And so naturally, an immediate stoppage of play is what we want to see. She's willing to carry on. And the 88 for Olympia steps up to take the penalty. Slots it past King for the goal from Natalia Zak. Olympia now just doing exactly what they need to do. I wouldn't quite say going through the motions. And I think there was a 2-minute suspension potentially. No, it couldn't have been for Olympia there. Just looked like Newcastle were playing with a player down. Obviously she got the penalty actually, didn't she? Which must mean that there would have foul with the act of shooting, so that would make sense that there's a 2-minute suspension. I didn't quite see who the player was, unfortunately. But it was put away by the player, Natalia Zak, who I think has 3 penalties to her name, plus 1 fast break. Denisa Lamont with 6 goals. I think nearly all have done fast breaks. I'd probably say 4 out of the 6. Petrovska from that left wing also has 5 goals to her name. Sabrina Farhan has 4 goal-saving saves, which I'm counting just as important as goals. And if you're basing the goalkeeper saves as goals, then Andrea King is technically their top scorer with 4 to her name. Mathilde Bergstadt with 1. Alexandra Inter with 2, I believe, both of the penalties. Sandra Lam with 1. Now there is 1 that I'm missing from somewhere. They have scored 5 in total. So I do apologise if I'm missing you off the scoring. While we were chatting to Ewan and everything else, I must have missed one. Not long to go then in this semi-final. As I said, Olympia are doing and have done exactly what they needed to do. Newcastle have tried to show up, and they do get a penalty, and they have caused a few problems. That's 3 or 4 penalties that they've had so far. There's number 10 looking quite pleased with herself, actually. It's Alexandra Inter. Well, I guess she's quite pleased because she's about to step up and take the penalty. She won it pretty much for herself. What can she do? Whistle gets blown. Oh, is that off both posts and not in? Well, that's a bit of a disappointment for her. Joanna Markova, I'm not sure if she got a touch on that. I'm not going to classify it as a save. I think it hit both of the posts. So So Olympia trying to charge this one up. Of course, they will play it up now, with Newcastle having had a player given a 2-minute suspension. That's probably a little bit unnecessary, I think, to be fair. Newcastle actually getting side to side very quickly indeed, closing off the gaps. Quite intense in their defence. Olympia felt the need to go for a behind-the-back pass to the winger, try and move the ball even quicker. It didn't happen. A long shot there, and probably an ill-advised one from Newcastle, giving Olympia the ball straight back with a player advantage to give them another opportunity to score. They got away with it about 30 seconds ago. Keep hold of the ball, Newcastle. There's a second line movement. Oh, they don't need it though, because Lamont sees a space and thinks, you know what, if the space is going to appear, I don't care what your line movement is, I'm just going to run straight through it. That's her 7th of the game. And having 23 goals, it's nearly a third of the goals for Olympia have come by Denisa Lamont. Partner Nick Lamont, a referee down in England, will be very pleased about it, I'm sure. Wonder if he's up here watching, or whether he's going to come up here tomorrow night. Looks like some of the other teams have started to turn up as well. Some of the men's teams watching on. There's the Newcastle Vikings yet again trying to open up the Olympia defence, however stubborn it may be. They are back to their full complement of players. A line pass is not entirely on, and the line was actually in the area as they try and force it all the way to the left wing instead of passing the nice easy ball out to the right where the space was. You see the Olympia players actually in the background behind the goal warming themselves up. Looks like one of them's taking a nap with his legs in the air, but actually apparently that's a stretch, I've been told. Looks to me like a comfortable position to relax in, but maybe only for a couple of minutes. You feel like you'd get the blood and not really to your muscles, and I feel like that's what a warm-up really should be, but who am I to question it? Forcing the ball to the line is not what Olympia really need to do. There's a lot simpler ways through. Newcastle get the ball up the court though, and it's a good goal by Marie Brevet. The second of the game, I believe. In fact, it's Marie Brevet's goal that I actually missed off. Because it was her first goal, it was the first goal of the game for Newcastle. So I think my maths is all added up. Anybody out there who cares, which they probably don't. Olympia going for that second line, second pivot movement, and then coming straight back out to try and disrupt the defence, almost bringing the defence in, and then instantly bringing them straight back out. It's an interesting bit of movement, actually. I'm quite a fan of it from a tactical perspective. I'd like to see it in action a little bit more, actually, as they didn't take much advantage there, but there is going to be a penalty. It's a foul on the wing. The number 8 for Newcastle. There's a William Goo. I'm sure the orchestrate of that move that I was going on about just then. That was Sousa giving the penalty away. It's not scored, and it is scored though. The follow-up is scored by the number 29, Bella Hughes. That's a goal to her name. Penalty, yeah, didn't go in, but the rebound came back to her off the post and in. Good goal. The two Inters are now back at left back and right back. See what they can produce. I think they've swapped actually whether they are left back or right back from the first half. I got the impression number 13 was actually at right back, number 10 was at left back. They seem to have switched. Passive play now. I think passive play was called with one pass of that play. There's 4. So they have 3 remaining. There's 1 of them, there's 2 of them, and there's 3 of them. And that's not a travel apparently. It is a goal though by Alexandra Inter. I think that's her first open play, which is slightly surprising because as I've said many times through this broadcast, the halfbacks for Newcastle do look like they have a shot about them. They do look like they've got some decent movement, a decent shot. haven't actually managed to do anything with it yet. They haven't been given the opportunities. For the Olympia, such a stubborn defence, haven't let them anywhere near the goal to take advantage. Nice little cross play here, plenty of it by Olympia. One more pass was needed, but the player wasn't quite running into that centre. He needed Search to be surging into that centre position before the ball was played. She was almost on her heels a little bit, which is a bit of a shame because it was really nice play as the ball goes into the line player, but the goalkeeper's area was called, goalkeeper's ball. His 19 had stepped into it. That's Karina Vesteng. 22 minutes gone, 8 minutes to go then. Second match of the day, remember, the two men's semi-finals coming up after this. Edinburgh have already been beaten by West London Eagles this morning. It's at 10 o'clock. You can watch that back on YouTube as soon as all these games are finished. Is that a travel? Charleston fan? Not sure. Either way, Olympia get the ball back. And they slow the game down as well to try and use this as a bit of practice potentially. With some of their moves, they are going through a couple of the repertoires. We've seen this a couple of times already. They switch the left winger and the centre over, and they'll probably start doing a couple of more crosses in the 28. You can see at left back here will end up going into that centre position. To say there is an awful lot of sort of passing left to right without much sort of penetration in these moves though at the moment, and well, passive play was called, the pass was cut off, and if Olympia want to practice these, they're actually going to have to penetrate the defence a little bit more. Actually look like they're going to score, and against the likes of West London Eagles or Newcastle, I think they look like they're known that they're beaten in this game. They're not necessarily pushing as hard as they would be if it was 24 all per se. You know that West London Eagles aren't going to let Olympia down that easy. So a bit more penetration from Olympia is needed. Otherwise, passive play is going to get called more and more often. It's not the way they want to go out of this game. They want to probably get to 30. Good goal though. I think that was number 11 from Newcastle, Olivia Shimkalbiak. In fact, it was. There we go, number 11. First goal to her name, I believe. As Speck comes back onto the court. At left back, number 10 at centre for this Harmouche for Olympia. Oh, almost intercepted, but again, there's just not that much penetration. And again, passive play gets called. And it could have been easily avoided. There's the goal. I mean, it's a base of a rebound, though. This is vintage handball by Olympia. I'm fully aware that they don't need to wipe the floor, run away with this, risk injuries, etc., etc. But that slice into attacks that the passive play has been called, not because they haven't really, they've taken too long away. It's just more the fact that there hasn't been that much penetrative attack. And you get the impression that, I mean, from my personal perspective anyway, if I was a fan of Olympia or Olympia's coach or anything like that, if you are going to be using this as a bit of practice towards the West London Eagles game tomorrow, and obviously I think they'll play West London Eagles in the final in a month's time in England as well. You know, you want to be going full on, keep the intensity going. That is just my personal view though. And Aurelien Gu is a much better coach than I am. So well, I'm sure whatever he's cooking up and what he's planning, what he's saying to his ways, is exactly what they need to hear. And from his perspective, exactly what will put them in the best stead for the game tomorrow. There is Aurelien. And you can hear from the two coaches after the game as well. I won't be chatting to them, but Pete will. Area. We'll be chatting to all the coaches today, and we'll be chatting to all the captains tomorrow for the finals as well. As Lamont comes off on the on from the bench, and yeah, a bit of tact. I think I saw them try and do that last weekend against Northampton potentially. I think it was the Olympia game. That might have been West London Eagles versus Northampton. My memory is just sort of faded from me for that weekend. I was so focused on this one. It's worked a treat here, but they got the ball back, but they didn't really convert it as Vikings looked to break, bounce it off. Wow, that's one way of breaking up the court. They went to pass it, bounced off a defender, bounced off the Vikings' head, fell to Marlon, who then took a shot falling over from 13 metres. Interesting one. Not one for the highlights, I don't believe. I don't think Marlon will be wanting to watch that one back either. It's very entertaining, Marlon. If you are watching this back. So Olympia looking now with Speck at the centre. Lamont at right back. They move the ball out to the right wing. It's a difficult angle. Andrea goes for the shot. It's very wide, even if the goalkeeper wasn't there, and she did end up getting back, Sabrina Farhan. This may well be an example of something that we've seen quite a few times, if you're a fan of high-level handball, is the attacking team taking off their goalkeeper, which is fully legal, and putting an attacking player on. I think they used to have to be dressed in a different colour as well, but that's not the case anymore. So they've got two pivot players, keeping the defence back, and then obviously the full complement of backcourt players and wingers as well. The difference is, well, the problem is, they do leave the goal completely wide open. That's a good little combination play from Newcastle, doesn't get the reward that it probably deserved. It does leave the goal completely wide open. A player has to run off the court for the goalkeeper to be allowed back on, rolling subs. And then the goalkeeper obviously has to run back to the net. So there is that opportunity if the ball gets turned over that the goal is there for taking. Vikings couldn't take advantage of the ball, but they do take advantage of a lot of space on that right wing, and the number 11 in that right back position, exposing that Olivia's second goal of the game. The score is 25-9 with 3 minutes to go. It's been a slight lesson here for Vikings. They've been very excited to be part of the British Super Cup. And I don't think, if you ask them honestly, if they answered you honestly, I should say actually, I don't think they really expected to come into this winning against Olympia. And they have scored a decent amount of goals. Another goal there by the 28th is Morutan, which I'm pretty sure is her second goal of the game. If they can get to double figures, I'm sure Vikings will be happy with their performance, and their game can then focus on Edinburgh tomorrow, which is obviously a team they've played a couple of times this season already. I think they played in the final game of the season, Ewan was saying, so happy they gave a good representation of themselves. The pass the player's called, that's one pass. Inter tries to get through, but ends up travelling. Olympia break up the court, there's so much space, they could have passed into any of 3 players. Number 9, Greta Borgvanite, gets the goal herself. As I was marking that down, actually Newcastle ended up having a shot, but it seems to have come out to Olympia. They go straight to the other end. As soon as I stop marking Greta's goal, Johnska scores again. They do keep you busy, these Olympians. 1 minute to go. Newcastle can hope that they keep the ball for that entire minute and 10 seconds. I don't think it's going to be that simple, though, up against what has been a very good Olympia team, and a very good performance, it has to be said. There was a period in the first half where they were absolutely dominant, fast breaks for days. And then all of a sudden it started to dry up as Newcastle got into the game a little bit. They started to move the Olympia defence a little bit more as well. Keep in mind that the score at half-time was 15-3. Olympia have scored yet again. It looks like they might repeat their 15-goal feat in this half as well. But Vikings have improved. They're only scoring 3, they've scored 6 in the second half, and with 20 seconds to go, they're probably wanting to get the double figures, make it a little bit more pride taken away from this. 15 seconds to go. Are they going to cook up something brilliant? Is it going to be a forced pass to the line? No. Free throws given. We could actually have the buzzer sounding off with the free throw. And there it is. And they pass it away. They don't bother with the shot. The smile on the face of the number 9 for Newcastle, Rosa Search. Are they going to bother with this? In handball, if the buzzer goes and there's a free throw, you can go for the shot. It is legal. A lot of people in this situation would just put the ball down. They're going to go for it. Oh! Tell you what, it would have been a highlight. Yeah, fair play. You might as well go for it and you can put that on. Number 11 with a smile on her face there. Olivia Shimkoviak. The Newcastle players get together, say well done before they go off and just shake hands with the Olympia team, who have come out on top here by a deficit of 20 goals. 29-9 the score in the end, so Olympia will be joining the West London Eagles in the final of the British Handball Super Cup here in the All Sports Centre. It'll be an all-English affair in the afternoon at 2 o'clock tomorrow, again, and it'll be an all-Scottish affair if Newcastle are in that game. At 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, they fight for third position. That's an important battle, of course. I believe the top 3 the men in the top 3 do get a potential participation in Europe next year. So it is only 4th place that will not come away with that prize. Whether or not the teams actually decide to use it or not is completely up to them. We've seen some of the highlights now. The second half, there were goals, of course. As the music stops and starts blaring in the background. The men's games are coming up soon. Livingston versus Olympia kicks off at 2 o'clock. Livingston, the champions of the Scottish League, against Olympia, the runners-up of the English division. And then the final game of the day, 4 o'clock, will be the North East Manchester Hawks, victors in the English League in the Final 4, and the finalists in the National Cup as well. Against EK82, runners-up of the league, but champions in Scotland for their cup competition last weekend. They're coming in with a high. They'll be hoping to take that to North East Manchester Hawks. It was a great game here, Olympia versus Newcastle Vikings. Okay, it wasn't necessarily the scoreline that Vikings wanted, but they put up a good show. Olympia taking the photos there. The final score was 29-9. Keep tuned if you want to catch any of the interviews with the 2 coaches. My name's been Jack Oliphant, and we'll be back in about half an hour time for the first of the men's semi-final.
Okay, Adam, thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling about that performance out there?
It's a little bittersweet. I feel like we played some really good handball, and Olympia, as you saw, they're such a strong side. So there's only so much we could really do. But I felt like, our defence was excellent. We conceded 29 goals, which is really respectable against such a good team. So that's really great to see. And it was great to see us, we improved as we went on. So there's so much stuff to be really happy about, even if it is still hard to take.
And you're going in tomorrow playing against Edinburgh in the bronze medal match, a team that you're a bit more familiar with playing throughout the season. So you're looking forward to taking the confidence from the improving game today, playing against a team you know more about?
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. It will be nice to go, yeah, like I said, to know a team we know a bit about. We know what their strengths are, some of their weaknesses maybe we can exploit those. But yeah, it was just like, I think that, like you said, we have some confidence. I think we were beginning to get going and were beginning to firing, and it's small margins. So if we can just do a little bit better, take up a little notch tomorrow, we could have a lot of confidence going into that game that we could do quite well.
Hopefully you enjoyed the atmosphere in here. There's a great buzz around the place. Have the team been really excited coming into this, and are they feeding off the energy in the room?
Yeah, I think they are. I think it's one of those things where, I mean, we don't think we expected to be here. So it's really exciting. You come in and it's all set up and it's brilliant. I mean, yeah, they really did enjoy that, and I think you could really tell someone was beginning to get going when the music started playing. Everyone's like applauding, stuff like that. They were really getting into it, which is great. So I think they all really enjoyed it, which is what matters, which is great.
Fantastic. Well, all the very best for tomorrow. Hope you have a good rest tonight, and good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
If he says you're good, you're good.
Yeah, okay. Okay, Aurelian, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the win, a very strong result. How are you feeling about that performance?
Happy on a way that obviously we came here to win every game. As always, a bit upset because things could always be better, but yeah, I'm happy for the result.
You had a big lead at the end, but you kept pushing and you kept having quite an aggressive style. Is that part of gaining confidence and moving through to tomorrow into the final?
Yes, I was sort of rotating the team as well, but yes, we tried to get this momentum for tomorrow. Is very important for us. Yeah, our sort of game is based on speed, so we try to display that every time when we play handball. Yeah.
And you said you're in it to win every game. What did the prep look like coming into this tournament this weekend?
Well, we had a good prep with the cup semi-final last week. as well, plus training. So yeah, it's been a process from the pre-season all the way throughout the season, and we had quite a lot of games. So yeah, preparation was good.
And being at the Super Cup, what does this mean for all the players? Is it a very exciting sort of end of season high for them?
Yeah, like has been advertised, it is one of the best competitions when it's to be decided the best team in UK. So yeah, we're really excited to be here, happy to be here, and I hope we're gonna get the result that we came from.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you.